Welcome back to Vintage Family Recipes. I wanted to take the time tonight to show you a family recipe that we have loved since the 1970s. It is my best friend's mom's recipe. It's for something called Halfmoon Cookies. They are a tradition in the middle part of New York State. So around the Finger Lakes regions is where this recipe comes from. So I'm going to make this recipe for you tonight, and I'm going to tell you that if you make this once, people are going to ask you to make it more and more and more often. I already have my shortening and my butter creamed. I'm going to add my teaspoon of vanilla. I'm going to actually use vanilla paste. My vanilla that I'm making myself has not yet gotten vanilla-y enough, so it is still doing its thing. So I'm just using vanilla paste for tonight still. Okay. So there's my teaspoon. I'm gonna whip it in real quick. I have already created my sour milk because I didn't have any in the house. So you need a cup. So I put in a tablespoon of vinegar, white vinegar, and then I added whole milk, and it has been sitting for about 10 minutes, and so it's curdling on the top, so it's becoming sour. I'm next going to crack my 2 eggs. Here's my first one. Dump those in. I remember the first time I had these, oh, I was in love instantly. As always, the recipe will be down in the description. I have mixed together my 3 cups of flour, my 1 cup of baking soda, seems I do that a lot lately. My 3 cups of flour, my 1 teaspoon of baking soda, my 1 teaspoon of baking powder, and my 1/2 teaspoon of salt. I'm going to alternate that with my milk. So I'm going to put in some of my flour mixture first. Just a little bit so it doesn't fly everywhere, hopefully. As you can see, these are very quick to go together. Oops. It is very thick, almost like a cake mixture. It's what makes the cookies taste so amazingly delicious, especially once you put on the frosting when they've cooled. I'm going to pull up my stones. That's what I like to make my cookies on. I don't have to grease that way. If you are using regular cookie sheets, you will need to lightly grease your cookie sheets. I personally use a scoop to put them on the baking stones, and I use my medium size scoop when I do this. Scrape everything down and off. When I go home to New York in the summer, I actually make these for my dad. When he was younger, he loved them with the frosting, but now that he's gotten older, he likes them just as much without the frosting. Sometimes I make a double batch because these do very quickly disappear in our house. You could use a small scoop if you wanted. I do not suggest a large scoop. Could use a regular teaspoon if you wanted. I just find the scoop, or a tablespoon, I just find the scoop easier. There's the first one. And I am going to get ready to put this in the oven. Now we will put them in the oven. Here they are. They're a nice yellowish color, yellow-brown. There we go. Put them on the cooling rack for a few minutes, and then I will take them off. Now that my cookies have cooled, I am going to make the frosting that goes on top of the Halfmoon cookies. So I have to start 3 tablespoons of Crisco. I have a small bag of powdered sugar. I will tell you in just a second how much it actually is. It is 16 ounces. I'm going to add a cap full of vinegar. Vanilla. I'm actually using, I forgot that I had this, I'm actually using, because my regular vanilla is not done yet, as I said earlier, I'm actually using Watkins Clear Vanilla. I like to use this when I make a white cake because it's wonderful vanilla, but it has no color to it. So it's great to use when you make a white cake or you want something that's really white. So I've added that. And I'm going to add a small amount of milk. And I'm going to mix it all together with my mixer. So this is what the cookie looks like before it's frosted. Now I'm going to add the cocoa to make the frosting chocolate. It's not chocolatey enough yet. And I want it to be chocolatier in color as well. So I'm actually going to mix 2 chocolates together here. So I'll be right back. I am going to add the burgundy cocoa to this. It's a darker chocolate, and so it will give me a little bit of a darker color that I want. It will also kick up the chocolate flavor a little bit. I may have to add a little bit of milk, but if I can avoid it, I'm going to. We shall see. There we go. Now it's getting to be more of the color that I want. That's better. Just gonna take the chocolate and put some on the other half of each cookie. I added just a little more milk because I wanted to have a better spreading consistency without really changing the flavor of the chocolate. If you've been to New York City, these are not the same cookies as the black and whites that they make and sell in New
New York City. The consistency of the cookie is different, and the consistency of the frosting is different as well. And so these are not the same cookies. The ones in New York City are called black and whites. These are from Central New York, and they are Halfmoon cookies. I believe they were actually first started at a bakery in Utica. I will let them sit for about an hour so the frosting sets really well, and then I will put them in an airtight container. You do not have to store them in the refrigerator. You can if you choose, but you do not have to.
We made Halfmoon cookies last night. Today, we're going to do our taste test. We should have had a third person here, but they're hiding. So here he is, the one I always talk about, son number 2, right there. So this is honestly their favorite cookie, I would say.
Yes, I think that's probably fair.
So they're going to try these. It's not like they haven't had them before, but they're going to give you their honest review. Go for it.
I want the big one.
Whee! You can tell he's excited to be on camera.
So,
Yes.
the hardest thing about like evaluating stuff like this where you've made it before and I've had it before and I know I like it, is that it's hard for me to say, oh, this is what I like about it, because I'm just so used to it. It's just like, you know, I'm not, I guess I don't think about it the same way as I think about something that I've never had before.
Right. I get that.
Don't be mad at me. But,
What's your favorite part?
Well, I was about to get to that. You can buy these at the store now in Texas, but they're normally a little too hard in the frost.
That's because they're called black and whites. They're not Halfmoon, and they're a New York City cookie. So they're different than these, because this is more like a cake. Yeah, I don't
It's very
like.
soft like a cake.
Yeah, I don't like black and whites. I like these. Not that I can eat them anymore, but these are my favorite. I eat the frosting though.
Yeah, I think the two things that I like about them are just like you said, how soft and cake-like they are. And then also, I always eat them down the middle because I like tasting the vanilla and the chocolate at the same time.
Same.
We hope you enjoyed this video. Subscribe. Leave us a comment. Hit the like button. And if you decide to make Halfmoon cookies, let us know how they turned out. Good night.
I'll go back home now.
You're going to go back home now?
Yeah.
Okay. Living under my counter.